Fundamentally, BRI violates the principle of sovereignty of countries. Not only the member countries of the G20 have appreciated Indian government's endeavors, but world at large, if you look at the international press, has appreciated India's role and India's leadership. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. So that principle is reflected in the initiative taken by the G20.
As we navigate the complex web of geopolitics, certain regions hold profound significance, yet they're often neglected. Join me in an insightful conversation with Dr. Ramakanth Dwivedi as he sheds light on the pivotal role of Central Asia and its deep-rooted importance for India. Together, let us explore the untapped potential, the historical ties, and the future prospects that shapes India's engagement with Central Asia. Before we dive into the conversation, I would like to enlist the Central Asian countries. They are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and Mongolia. Stay tuned to better understand these nations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. Today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Ramakanth Dwivedi. He's an expert on Central Asia and he is an esteemed author as well. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, India recently hosted the G20, as you all know. What is your take on that? How did we do?
I think G20 was very successful in many sense. First of all, if you make a comparative analysis of this G20 with the last one, you will find that in the last G20, there was contestations on the issue of Russia-Ukraine crisis and all parties could not be brought on the same page. G20, which was recently held in Delhi under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, India has succeeded in bringing all the members of the G20 on same page. A joint statement was issued. So it is a big success that despite having serious differences on the issue of Russia-Ukraine crisis, they all came on the same page. As first. Second is African National Union has been made a member of G20. That's another success. And third is the main mission and vision of G20 is to work for economic cooperation, contribute to the development of world in such a manner so that it becomes win-win situation for not only for member countries but for world at large as well. In that sense, the initiative taken by a group of countries for opening the transport corridor and Prime Minister Modi ji along with the other member countries have already announced this corridor is going to contribute phenomenally in the economic development of various regions. Mind you, Border Road Initiative of China is violating the sovereignty of countries. For example, Indian territory which is under the illegal occupation of Pakistan, what we call as Pak-occupied Ladakh, Pak-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, BRI is passing through this territory. So, fundamentally, BRI violates the principle of sovereignty of countries. The new upcoming corridor, which was announced in the recently concluded G20, is not on those lines. It is with full consistent with all the international norms, rules and regulations. And third thing that everybody agreed, if you make a critical analysis of the press of various regions, you find that everybody has appreciated that G20 summit has gone right way and it is going to make value additions to already endeavors made to enhance the economic development with the inherent principle of win-win situation for all.
So would you say this G20 was a turning point for a lot of nations and a lot of the way G20 conducts themselves?
It is a turning point as far as the joint statement Russia-Ukraine crisis is concerned, because everybody, it was not, Shivam, it was not easy job, believe me, to bring everybody on board. So in that sense, a turning point. But as far as the economic cooperation, economic growth is concerned, this I will characterize a step forward in that direction.
So one of the most important thing in G20 is the financial growth for all nations. And the financial growth comes with trade. So can you explain us the new trade route that has been discussed with India to other nations through Saudi Arabia?
Asia, Europe, and further, this starting from India, passing through the West Asia, taking into account Israel, and then further to Europe. So, looking at this trajectory of this upcoming route, it is going to help immensely for the enhancement of economic cooperation between various parts of Asia, South Asia, East Asia, West Asia, and then further to Europe. So, in that sense, therefore I said that's one of the takeaways from the recent convened G20.
So this is the trade route you're talking about. One of the most important trade route China was working on was the One Belt, One Road initiative. What kind of reply is this to China from India, that we are conducting ourselves another route?
I wouldn't characterize this as this is a reply to China, but China's BRI, if I may say so, that and it is in the open source, many authors have written it, is based on the principle of exploitative nature.
Very true.
Whereby, take the example of Sri Lanka. You give an amount of loan to a country, and but that country is not able to pay back, and you mortgage some property. In case of Sri Lanka, is a Hambantota. This is the One Belt, One Road initiative of China I am quoting. Second is CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor.
Right.
I am sure, and Pakistan has almost become a satellite country, okay. You see the condition which is there. So, this upcoming route as initiated by a group of countries is not on that principle. It is rather based by respecting the territorial integrity, sovereignty of member countries, international community, and it is based on the principle of more participatory, the principle of participation and contributing for the economic growth. Here, China's progress is of one country.
Right.
Here, the progress is being divided, shared by all member countries. And therefore, I use the word win-win situation for all. In One Road, One Belt initiative, it is win-win situation for China only.
True, very true, very true. Like we said, India is more inclusive towards other countries and we want to grow together.
Absolutely.
Right?
May I say, because Indian Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, he said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. So that principle is reflected in the initiative taken by the G20.
The fact that China did not show up at the summit, what kind of message were they sending to the rest of the world?
No, China was very much there. It was represented by the Prime Minister, and there's a big delegation from China came. Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, could not come for the reason best known to them, but China was part and parcel of all the deliberations. They agreed for the joint statement, and the delegation was led by the Chinese Prime Minister.
Is it? I was under the, of course, the delegation must have showed up, but the main person of China, President Xi Jinping, didn't show up. What was that message to the rest of the world?
For India, I mean, delegation was there, Chinese Prime Minister was there, so the reason best known to Chinese. But as far as G20 is concerned, I think everybody is, it would have been better had he come, but Likewise, others also could not participate. Russian President Vladimir Putin could not come. Russia was represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov as the head of the Russian delegation. So it happens. It's okay.
So all in all, G20 was a success.
Oh, big success, and salute to the endeavors made by Government of India under the able leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and the team of the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Amitabh Kant ji, and numbers of other in those. There was 60 locations all over India where G20 was. Number of programs related to G20 in last 1 year were held. So the cumulative impact of these initiatives is reflected in the joint statement. And not only the member countries of the G20 have appreciated Indian government's endeavors, but world at large, if you look at the international press, has appreciated India's role and India's leadership.
There were 112 points that were discussed at the G20's leadership summit. Can you share with us the three most important ones that would affect us in big ways?
First, I would say the economic cooperation. The second would be the upcoming transport corridor.
Right.
And third would be the fight against the terrorism. I think very important points because on which every country, we made it very clear that India has been articulating this point of view that economic growth, sustainable economic growth is possible when the challenges, the hurdles which is coming on the way, they need to be removed. Whether it is the economic principles which are of exploitative nature, the set of rules which are not favorable to all countries. So I would say that these 2-3 initiatives, I think, very good.
Africa is now a part of G20 as well, and we are going to be calling G21 from now on.
Next summit is going to be held in Brazil. The baton was given by our Prime Minister to Brazilian leader. So it is going to be G21, and as you know, Africa is a big continent and lots of challenges there. I hope that the member countries of African Union, they come and make a positive contribution to the mission and vision of the G20, which would be again, a step forward. As you know, the G20 is having participation from North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, and now Africa, Australia. So I think it should be win-win situation. I strongly believe a regional cooperation which is based on the principle of win-win situation will be sustainable.
It is such a good initiative by India to include Africa because it shows how inclusive we are in terms of development and growth.
Absolutely. It's a collective decision under the leadership of India. It was not India's only initiative, but an initiative taken by G20 under the leadership of India. And with Africa, we have emotional bonding, as you know. The last century, the freedom struggle, India's instance with respect to the Rangvedi need of South Africa, the emotional bonding with Africa is very much there. So I think a step forward and in the very right direction, and I am sure Africans are very appreciative of India's initiative and gesture.
So coming back to Central Asia, you have authored 8 books on around Central Asia in different nations. Could you first explain me what all nations are a part of Central Asia and why is Central Asia important for India?
Central Asia consists of 5 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. This is part of Central Asian region. It is part of India's extended neighborhood. Central Asia, historically, culturally, very close to India. Going back, and not the medieval period, but ancient period also, the Kushan dynasty, the interactions with Central Asia has always been there, people to people. So that is with respect to the historical importance. But in 21st century, Uh, we have immense possibilities to enhance political, economic, and cooperation and security arena with Central Asian countries. All five Central Asian countries and India, we don't have disagreement any issue on international forums within the framework of United Nations. Number of regional issues, number of international issues, we are fully understand each other concern, and there is a complete agreement between India and Central Asian countries. 1991, Central Asian countries, they came out from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR. Subsequently, there was, interaction. Prior to that also, India has a, CG office in Tashkent during Soviet period also. So with all five countries, we are having very good, friendly and cordial relations with Central Asia. Your second part of your question is what is the importance of Central Asia to India? The importance is that there is a plenty of hydrocarbon resources available in Central Asia. And given the India's energy intensive growth model, there is a perfect demand and supply equation. We need hydrocarbon resources and they are available in Central Asia. But because of non-cooperative attitude of Pakistan, the issue of geographical inaccessibility has become a challenge that we need to address. If we are able to address the issue of geographical inaccessibility to Central Asia, Shivam, we are going to have fantastic relations with all five countries. As you know, gas, oil, dry fruits, the plenty they are available in substantial amount in Central Asia, and India with 100 and more than 35 crores population, we need those resources. Similarly, we can give to them in the form of education, soft technology, infrastructure development, especially in the downstream sector, in the hydrocarbon sector. So it's a perfect match, and I've traveled all over Central Asia. The amount of goodwill which we enjoy there, they are very appreciative of India's initiative. Historically, we had very good and cordial ties with Central Asia. Culturally, we are part of the same cultural complex. We are part of, the extended neighborhood. So if we are able to address the upcoming challenges which are coming on our way to enhance political, economic and security cooperation with these countries, if we are able to address them, I think again, as I said a little bit earlier, that it is going to be a win-win situation.
So, can you tell us more on the history of our trade with these Central Asian countries?
Kushan period, we had excellent relations. You go to Kurgan Tepe, Fayaz Tepe, Kara Tepe, these are the places which I have visited. They are located in Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. There was regular interactions between the people of Central Asia and India. Medieval period, you see the people coming from Central Asia to India. Al-Biruni, for example, he came in 11th century and wrote a very good book, Kitabul Hind, which is a good study of Upanishad, Vedas, Puran, and Al-Biruni was an excellent and outstanding scholar, very good anthropologist. He stayed, he learned Sanskrit. During the Soviet period, lots of works of Rabindranath Tagore, Munshi Premchand, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sumitra Nandan Pant, these were translated into Russian language, and they are part and parcel of the curriculum in the schools and colleges there. Technology with respect to the security corporations, as you know, the mid-air refueler, we bought it from Uzbekistan. So cooperation has been there in various sectors. However, current level of economic cooperations with India, Kazakhstan, India, Kyrgyz, India, Tajik, India, Turkmen, India, Uzbek does not reflect the potential as it exists. So the challenges are how to overcome these challenges, how to address them in order to exploit and channelize the potential will exist. One of the challenges I mentioned, that is the issue of geographical inaccessibility
through Pakistan.
through Pakistan. And it's a win-win situation. I don't understand why Pakistan is not able to understand Afghanistan with us on this issue, minus Taliban, but they are now ruling. So it will be good for all of us, South Asia, Central Asia, because it is very scientific and logical relationship which is based on the principle of demand and supply. You have the material available in Central Asia and there exists the demand in South Asia, which will contribute immensely in the regional cooperation and regional development. It will be good for the people.
Like speaking about trade, earlier there was a Silk Route through these nations. Can you explain us a little about?
Silk Route started from China, passing through current Uzbekistan, that is Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, then through Turkmenistan. Part of one of the branches passed through the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, now the Indian territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and Indian territory of Ladakh, which went up to then Azerbaijan and Transcaucasia, then to Europe. I was lucky with the support of government of India. I have traveled on this route right from Xinjiang up to the Caspian. But that route even exists today, and the transport corridors are being upgraded. That connects the Central Asia with the Europe and with China. South Asia could be part of it, provided there is an agreement and the good neighbors on the western flank realize it. So it will be a win-win situation for regional cooperation.
So are you seeing the change in India's international relations in the last few years under the Modi government?
Foreign policy of India and defense policy of India, they have been appreciated, acknowledged, and India has played very important role in establishing international order, peace, international development through various instrumentalities in place, whether it is through the United Nations, where the Indian peacekeeping forces are going to contribute to the peace development program of United Nations. At bilateral level, during last 10 years, there have been a number of initiatives by the government of India with respect to Central Asia. Connect Central Asia policy is there, where the endeavors are being made to ensure and address the issue of geographical inaccessibility. The Chabahar port is coming up, not on the desired level as far as the timeline is concerned, but it would have been better had we utilized the time and addressed this. Nevertheless, these initiatives are being taken. So absolutely, I fully agree with you that during last 10 years, 9 years or 10 years so, that foreign policy and defense policy of India have been appreciated and acknowledged, and it is reflected whether it is Europe, whether it is multilateral forum like G20, multilateral forum like BRICS, G7, United Nations, various institutions of the United Nations. India has been playing very important and substantial role in furthering and implementing the mission and vision of the United Nations and establishment of international peace and order.
So you closely follow international relations. Do you see there's a shift happening in the geopolitical power from the west to the east in terms of the change of the world order? What is your take on that?
Asian countries are coming up, there's no doubt about it, and every country is entitled to have aspirations. So 20th century was the century of Europe and America. So 21st century of the Asian centuries, don't get surprised with that. Every country has aspirations. So to that extent, but aspirations which are contributing or which are fulfilling the objective of regional cooperation with this inherent principle of win-win situation. Unlike China, which is one-dimensional, So there is going to be shift as the countries grow economically, and they will claim their share in the international politics. So, but fundamental shift, let's see, watch for some time.
Do you want to share with us maybe China's vision in this situation?
China is also having aspirations, no doubt. China's economy is very strong. But remember one thing about China: whatever you are reading through newspapers, books, you need to go little deeper to understand and dissect the perception from the reality. Perception will remain perception, and reality will remain reality. So, n number of Chinese projects, big mega projects, you have to see on the ground how many of them are fructifying in terms of tangible forms. So, nevertheless, China is a strong country, it's a big economy with a very huge, substantial manufacturing base.
Yes.
Because of the low cost labor, it has advantage and it has penetrated, make no mistake, Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, Latin America, and therefore coordinated international initiatives are needed to ensure that one single country doesn't get all the advantages and succeed in establishing a system which is exploitative in nature. So to that extent, India's contribution has been always there. As they say, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the word is a family, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. So accordingly, I think international community is aware about our rising aspirations as well as our intentions, and we are getting support for that.
So you are someone who reads a lot. I have a few personal questions, sir.
Go ahead.
Is there any book that you wish you would have read earlier in life?
Vedas.
The Vedas.
I have got, and I have no hesitation accepting to you, Shubham. Vedas, Shrutiya, Upanishad. I have collections of all four Vedas: Upanishad, Shrutiya, Puran. I have read Dr. Radhakrishn's critical appreciation of Upanishad, but if I get more time, I would like to read it. That's the one thing I have not been able to do.
Could you explain to us and the audience what Vedas primarily are?
Essence of life that and everything starts, that's essence of life, why we are here, what is objectives of life, how we need to live, what we need to contribute in our lifetime. I think these are the fundamental questions that your existence should not be at the cost of others. Your existence should not be creating troubles for others. And that is what the Vedas, Upanishad, with the dharma of life, whereby you are in harmony with the rest of living beings around you while making progress and making value addition in your lifetime to the already existing development in various areas.
Does Vedas have a lot of similarities to different religious scriptures?
Again, I have not studied many, I was very little knowledge about the Quran Sharif or the Christianity, the Holy Bible, but Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a little bit study which I have done of Vedas, as a word, as a family, if we move on that principle, I think we succeed. And if I get more time, definitely one would like to read more about life as its own challenges. Therefore, if we are able to understand the challenges and struggles of our lifetime, address them in an effective and adequate manner with this principle of Vedas, Upanishad, I think that will be a very good thing.
What can a nation like India learn from the Vedas?
Sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas.
Inclusivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Principle of inclusivity. There is a shloka which says, Sarve bhavantu sukhna, sarve sant niramaya. So, let everybody be happy, let everybody be healthy. Those are the fundamental principle of our scriptures. We never support exploitative nature of relationship. We are more accommodative, tolerant, inclusive, and move forward with that. And may I also share with you, Shivam, please read Swami Vivekananda's lecture which he gave in Chicago. He talks about the Sanatan Dharma, he talks about the Vedas, and that lecture is very much available. Again, that principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
So next question, the personal question I'm going to ask you is, what advice would you give to your younger self? What is one thing that you would want young Dr. Ramakant to know, that you know now but you wish you knew earlier?
Work hard, get better organized, work in a very coordinated and cogent manner, respect the timeline, be punctual, and I think that is the advice I would like to give to.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
So you recently got published by Pentagon Press.
Yeah.
How was your experience? Would you like to share with us the experience?
Very
of publishing?
excellent. I am now I've got a very dear friend in Rajan Saab, and regardless of these publications, we often get together, once in a month and discuss number of issues. And I find Rajan Saab not only as a publisher, but he is a very knowledgeable person, well grounded, various aspects of life he discusses with me. So I'm grateful for his cooperation. And the next book, which is going to be with the University of World Economy and Diplomacy of Uzbekistan, on India and Uzbekistan, this Pentagon is going to do, which is going to be qualitatively a step forward, I would say, again from my 8 publications which I did, because one has been working very hard on that, and I'm sure, because every time the new book comes and then you feel, अरे ये कमी रह गई, ये हो जाती है. So
would you like to share with the audience about your book, your latest book on Indo-Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah, this Indo-Kyrgyz relation challenges and opportunity is a book which is focused on India-Kyrgyz relationship and what are the current challenges and opportunity in order to contextualize the current level of our relationship, how to address these challenges and how to exploit the opportunities. This is in economic arena, primarily focused on economic arena. Cultural, educational and political aspect are also addressed. So this is going to be a good book for students, those who are interested in knowing the current level of developments in Central Asia in general and India-Kyrgyz relations in particular. Thanks to Pentagon Press.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. This was a very insightful conversation with you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your support. Before you go, can I request you to sign me a copy of your latest book?
Sure.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.